All right, folks, I have everybody's attention. I'm going to call this meeting to order at 6:05. Welcome, everybody. Before we do roll call, I just want to do a quick glance at the group agreements. Roll call is going to establish which delegates are voting members. Participation is limited particularly in this first half, only to voting members. There's a 2-minute limit on comments. Please share your name and council when speaking. Allow all members the chance to speak before speaking a second time, and avoid crosstalk to allow speakers to be heard clearly. Translated, that is, please limit your side conversations. If you could all vote.
I absolutely can. Added Luke, Lizzie.
Here.
Airport Heights, Emily.
I'm here online. Hello.
Thank you. Basher, Dirk, I have you here. Oh, he's here.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you. Bayshore Platt, Bob.
Present.
There we go. Bear Valley, Caitlin.
I'm online.
Thank you. Do we have anyone from, do we have Debbie from Berkwood? Nope. Okay. Campbell Park, Kevin.
Here.
Shukiak, Darrell Parks.
Sir.
Thank you. And we also have alternate Paul here, just recognizing. Downtown Sylvia. Okay, Eagle River Cliff.
Yeah, Chuck Holman with Eagle River Community Council.
Hi, Chuck. Okay. Eagle River Valley. Glenn, are you the delegate tonight?
Yes, Joy Webb will
Okay.
also, as an alternate, be online.
Okay, but Glenn, you'll be the voting member.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Fairview Kelly.
Yep, I'm here.
Oh. Girdwood Jennifer.
Here.
Greg, Government Hill Bob.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you. Hillside Sandy. Let's see. Okay. Huffman O'Malley Jason.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, hello. Midtown Chris. Oh, Rosemary's here. Okay, recognizing Rosemary who just walked in. Mountain Dew Charlie.
Present.
Thank you. North Star Jade.
Here.
Northeast Pamela. Okay. Old Seward Ocean View Gary.
Yes.
Rabbit Creek Tim.
Yes, here, online.
Rogers Park Maryland. Russian Jack Kathleen.
Here.
Liz, did I see you join for Sand Lake?
Yes.
Thank you. Scenic Foothills Roger.
Here.
South Division John.
Here.
Thank you. Spanard Sarah. Here. Kaku Campbell Sarah. Sorry. Sarah Alexander for Kaku Campbell. I see her. We'll come back. Turnigan Kathy. Here. Turnigan R. Michael.
I'm here.
And the newly minted UMed tutor.
Here.
Steve.
Yes,
Thank
Steve
you.
Down.
And I'm gonna go back. Greg, are you here from I'm sorry. Glen Alps?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize until I saw your face, I didn't recognize you.
I couldn't figure out how to change my name on the chat here. On the,
I totally
Sorry.
get it. Sarah Alexander, are you able to come on mute and confirm?
I am here. My app was having issues.
Oh, no worries. Awesome. So that is. We have 28, we have 4.
Okay, thank you. I also wanted to address, I am presiding this evening because I am in person and our chair, Mike, is online and it's easier to preside over a meeting in person. So that's generally our practice. So here I am. I'm going to break up the consent agenda into the two parts, approval of the agenda and approval of the minutes. I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Charlie, seconded by Kathleen, Rushing Jack. Any objections? We'll vote by assent. Hearing none, the agenda is approved. I will entertain a motion regarding the minutes.
Kathy Gleason, Jernigan, move to approve December minutes.
I believe we had,
We take the motion to approve.
Yes.
And then.
we have a second.
Second.
All right, got a second from Kevin of Campbell Park. We did receive a request to amend.
Yeah, so what I can do is I'll read it and then somebody can maybe take up the motion. I'm just reading it as staff. So we got an email from a delegate to amend the minutes at this bottom part, reference part 1, the board meeting. Discussed to add the status of the chair from Hamilton Blagor made a point of order with a motion to bifurcate the motion. That is what it says in the minutes. If you are in the packet, that would be on page 3, kind of near the top. And so Pamela asked that we submit the following correction. The motion was made to divide the question of Sand Lake representatives' original motion, thereby breaking the motion into 2 portions. The first portion ending the sentence before the sentence beginning with the word. The minutes read, and then Pamela's comment is the minutes read differently than the actual proper dividing question motion was made. The purpose of dividing a question is to split a complex motion in separate and independent actions. This allows for individual constructive debate and clarity when voting on each portion. This motion requires a second, can be further amended, and is not debatable with a majority vote. So if somebody would be willing to take up a motion to correct the minutes on page 3 to read, the motion was to divide the question of Sand Lake representatives' original motion. Is anybody willing to take up that motion?
Yes.
I know, I was reading fast, so I apologize.
Charlie from Mountain View, yes.
Charlie from Mountain View.
Usually it says motion to bifurcate, and when she wants it to say divide the question so that it is appropriately marked. And this is the place in which we would.
I would second the,
Okay.
I second the motion to divide instead of bifurcate.
Seconded by Kevin Simon of Campbell Park. We will vote by assent. Any objection to correcting the minutes? Hearing none. We are back to the main motion of approving the minutes now as corrected. Are there any objections to approving the minutes as corrected? Hearing none. Thank you. We will move on to the first discussion topic, which is board meeting dates. Ari, is that you?
Yes, that is me.
Okay, you have the floor.
I do. This should be after the minutes in your packet. There should be something that says Federation of Community Council Board of Delegates. I'm going to pull it up on the screen so that we might all read together. As we like to do, we like to do things that we want to do as best practices. And best practice would be to confirm that all of the dates don't conflict with anything and that this body is okay with meeting on these dates. The only thing to note is that the picnic date is not necessarily dated because with it being the 50th anniversary, we may plan something slightly bigger or something different, and we might need a flexibility on that date. Though I won't put it on a Tuesday, as I was wont to learn in 2024, so don't you worry. But otherwise, these dates all align with the expected 3rd Wednesday of every month. And so I'm just looking for a motion to approve the dates as written. Yeah.
I don't know if November 28th actually means that. That could be Thanksgiving or something.
Let's check.
November 18th is the 3rd.
Is that the 3rd Wednesday? That must just be a typo then. Because the 28th is probably not even a Thursday then. Or nothing, no.
No, it's a Saturday.
See, this is why you look at my dates for me and you make sure that I'm not an idiot. Okay, November 18th with the amending of this little guy right there, are we okay with a motion, to approve these? I can't put it forward. I'm just putting it out there for you guys.
Is this delegate from Sal? Or, I'm sorry, it doesn't have his name tag. And I don't,
I asked if this was an action item.
it turned into one because we have to fix it.
Well, we should, yeah, the body
Yeah.
should just like approve that
Exactly.
we're okay with these dates and, you know, are we cool with still meeting on the third, Wednesday?
I'm sorry, my brain is full and I don't remember your name.
Rosemary.
No, next to Rosemary.
Oh, gotcha.
Roger, originally mentioned that it was not 28.
Yeah.
And then,
Okay.
Kevin, did you basically second it? Would you like to second it?
Whichever way you want it. sure.
Okay. Kevin from Campbell Park seconded it. Any objections to changing it to the actual date of November 18th? Hearing none. All right, now I'll entertain a motion to approve these dates as corrected. So they are all Wednesdays, with the exception of the to be determined.
I would move these dates as our monthly meeting dates.
Moves these dates. Is there a second? Second. Second by Kathy Jernigan. Any objection? Hearing none, these are our board meeting dates. Thank you so much.
And I would encourage you to do this at your meetings, especially with some of you who are near the end of the month or might be near some sort of holiday regularly. It's super helpful when we do that planning in advance. So just every January, checking in on all those dates, making sure your website's up to date, super helpful.
And also that your venue is expecting you.
Oh, yeah,
Fun surprise.
that'll do it.
Okay. Number 4.
Right.
Mike, I believe this is yours.
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can. You have
Excellent.
the floor.
Good. Hopefully everyone online can hear me loud and clear as well. Maybe better than if I'm in the room. Yeah, we had this is we want to schedule a date for a potential executive session. So logistically, it's too difficult to do them in these meetings. We've got a lot of people online. We've got a lot of people on the room. It's just a difficult process. So we have a legal issue that's come up. It may actually resolve itself, but we want to make sure that the board is fully informed. So this is really about just trying to pick a date for when we have a executive session, or when we could potentially schedule an executive session. There is a chance it may get cancelled before we actually hold it. But we want to make sure there's space to have a discussion. So I don't think we have any dates suggested yet, do we, Ari?
No.
So Mike, do we need to pick a date now, or is that making it so
Well,
everybody is aware? We might be coming to you.
I think
with a
what we
doodle
should do,
poll.
rather than pick a date, I think what we should do is see there is things going on now, so we may find there's a resolution already before we actually can hold any meeting. So it may just turn out to be an informational item in the future, but we want to make sure that people are aware that something may be coming along.
Okay. Thank you.
That would be outside of our normal meeting day.
Correct.
Yes. And
Anything
typically,
further on?
typically they are best to hold in person. We haven't quite. It really depends on the date as to whether that's going to be feasible or not. So again, probably an in-person meeting only, and keep an eye out on email in case something does get scheduled.
Okay. Anything further on item number 4, Mike?
I don't have anything more now. Is there any questions?
Okay.
Yeah, I got a question.
Steve, ask a question.
Who would have to go to that meeting?
All board members. Board members, yeah. So the voting delegates,
All of us?
yes.
Yeah.
So,
And it's not gonna be scheduled on top of anybody's regular monthly meeting.
that'd be the idea.
That would be the goal, but that doesn't leave us very many dates. It kind of leaves us like some Mondays and some Fridays, so.
Yes.
What's the subject of the meeting?
It'll be
Double?
it'll be to discuss some legal action and probably get a briefing from our lawyer.
Legal action for what?
I can't say much more than that.
Why the hell hold a meeting?
Well,
You
we
can't-
have to have an executive session because it would be something that we would want to talk about in privacy, as like in conversation with our lawyer. So we can't talk about it here because this is an open meeting that's gonna be published, but to protect the organization, we would call a special, you guys would call a special meeting to be held in executive session where you could discuss stuff behind closed doors for just that one particular item, not a whole meeting, just the one particular thing.
That would need to be an in-person meeting, I think, not online.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out, the details of that.
The way it's secure.
It probably couldn't be, for sure couldn't be hybrid, but then the question is like, could it just be all online and we give you guys a special link for it, or could it be in person, but ideally in person?
I just think there's no way to secure a meeting online.
Correct. We're trying to be understanding that people have to travel and it's winter though, so.
Any additional questions? Yes.
Is there a quorum, like a normal meeting for that? So we don't meet the quorum, can't hold the meeting.
As long as there's no action to take, it can still just be an informational meeting is my understanding, but I can get more details about that. Like it can be a closed session where you guys get information from the lawyer and then you just can't take any action.
Which we can't do in executive session anyway,
Right.
regardless.
Any action that would be taken would have to then be brought in the normal session and brought forward, but we're not expecting any action. All of this is at this point really informational. Joy has an email. Yeah.
Joy, go ahead.
Yeah,
Let me go over to Rob.
do our current bylaws say how much notice has to be given for this special meeting?
Special meetings are,
Well, executive meeting.
well, it would be a special meeting, called under special meeting rules. The executive session is just within Robert's rules. We don't have them outlined in our bylaws, and I don't have the bylaws in front of me. I believe it's,
Does the open public rules apply?
we don't have notice requirements for our general meetings in our current bylaws.
But an executive session by definition is not open to the public.
Yeah, I don't think.
Shouldn't apply to
So
The
sorry.
reason I ask is I just hope it's more than like 24 hours notice.
That would be, we would hope to give, at least a week's notice minimum.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Okay. And.
All right, just checking on the requirements for meeting notice to members / delegates.
Yeah, sorry.
Stand by. Well, Ari looks that up. I'm gonna put a pin in that. Does anybody have any additional questions?
I think from a logistic point of view, we can guarantee a week's notice.
10 days. 10 days.
Okay, 10
is
days.
What the bylaws.
In that case, 10 days.
Pretty sure it's in.
Okay.
Fine. What it's not.
Additional questions, comments?
one final.
Yes, Daryl.
If the primary voting delegate isn't available, what about the alternate?
Yeah, it would still be same rules. The and so you guys are aware, the way alternates work is that they're not their own person, they are voting on behalf of you in any given meeting, so they're there legally representing you in that instance. So if you have given permission for an alternate, then they are there legally representing you and are fall under all the same disclosure requirements. Non-disclosure requirements. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Don't see any additional questions, so we will move on to number 5, which is the bylaw draft introduction. As you will see, it says draft 2. This is informational only. We aren't really going to be discussing it tonight, so this 10 minutes is questions, but we do not plan on voting on this before March. So please take this home with your red pens, bring us all your questions. Please don't, if you find an errant comma, please let us know. Don't assume that we recognize that it's there and we're like, oh yeah, I'll get that. All the things, any questions, any concerns, all of that, please let us know. And we will be working on this via your feedback and comments again over the next 2 months, but again, not voting on this until March.
And let me just put some explainers. So
Yes.
in front of you, you have a clean, what I call the clean version on our, just because I wanted to save trees. On our website is a version with track changes. So if you're interested in the track changes between draft and draft 2, that is available on our website. And then upon request, there have been a number of recommendations for additional like appendices or references. Those were included in this hand packet. They are also on the website. So there's a glossary. There is a draft of standing rules for the coalition of delegates. There is a suggestions for potential policies that are not in the bylaws, but that the bylaw committee wanted to make the body aware that like we hear you, and that would be covered under a policy, not in the bylaws. And then a breakdown as requested of the roles and responsibilities between delegates and directors. So those are all, they wouldn't be included when you guys vote on the final draft of the bylaws. They are just reference documents to kind of give more information as requested and kind of present it in different ways.
Yes, Mr. Shaw.
Yeah, you said that the track changes online is from draft 1 to draft 2. Do you not have track changes from the existing bylaw to the proposed bylaw?
No, because the different, so what we had provided was a comparison that we had given you guys, because the differences are so, and the language, the whole thing would be read and it'd be impossible to look at. Yeah, so this is specifically between draft and draft 2, not between the original and draft 2.
Thank you.
I saw Kevin and Daryl.
I don't know why I'm answering this. One of you.
The question I have is, are you looking for us to give feedback starting like right away and emailing and sending? Or is the instruction when you show back up for the February meeting, you want a list of what your council wants or has questions about? What are we doing with this, right?
Yes.
I am amenable to vote. If you notice something before the end of this meeting, you can send me an email. If you want to take it to your council and get some feedback from them, absolutely. So all of the above.
I think something similar to 4-acre would be like if you have red line changes, those are always better in email. If you have like general concepts, email or at the meeting, right? But if you're like, you misplaced this comma in line 3 on this page, that's really great to get via email, because then we can fix that.
Or if you just say, I don't like the third one under Article 3, it should be omitted.
Yeah, yep. Like emails are great, and I highly recommend / request, but we can take it in all at once. But if you have, those specific line ones, in writing is best, so we don't accidentally assume. And then I think I saw Daryl first.
Yeah,
And then
I just had a question about the adjudicated comments. And were there notes kept where you addressed or considered all the comments that came back? And then kind of decided, yes, we're gonna do this, or no, we're not going to do that?
did we did put that.
Yeah, I put the things together and then
Yes.
you never.
The short answer is yes.
They were,
I-
they were considered, so all the comments were compiled into one document that was given to everybody. And they were kind of, the way it was done was that they broke it down by like topic and kind of looked at every single thing the Federation does and talked about the comments that we got under each subject. But it isn't a yes, this to every comment, no, that, like yes or no. That document we don't. So we don't have like a written response.
Can
to
you
it.
share the document you do?
Is that on the?
It is on the Google Drive. It is shareable. It's just like not as obvious as like some of these other documents.
Right.
We were gonna make it look nicer.
Because
Well, I mean,
right
if
now
you wanna
it
do that and then let
table
it
with
there, that's
yeah,
fine.
stream of
I have no problem with that.
consciousness.
I just wanna be able to go through, the only reason I say that is because I don't wanna have to start from zero. I would rather start from wherever I was previously.
Okay.
Well, a lot of times what you do is you have a list of comments, like you get 100 comments, and you go through, put an Excel spreadsheet, and then next to it, you put, blah, 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 addressed in version 1, addressed in draft 2, addressed in iteration 5.
So looking back to that, I actually, but John actually was next in line.
Oh, sorry. Oh, we have a hand on.
Are you anticipating comments only from the delegates, or would you be anticipating comments from members of our community councils?
What's the best way to answer that? I have learned to be ready for surprises. That said, it's gonna be the delegates voting on this. I would encourage delegates to look at it.
And
But feel free to take it to your next look.
if your delegate should carry the water, community council wants to comment, I would think commenting through their delegate would be the best way to go.
Correct.
Yeah.
So,
It's up to us to go get our council's
yes.
input and then bring it forward.
Right.
And explain the process that we've
Yes.
gone through, maybe.
And
They don't care about that. No.
This didn't start today.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
There will be, I mean, I'm not being flippant about that. There will be some people that have been listening and they're kind of aware of all this that's been going on. We're what, 5-6 months in, right? And what they just wanna know is, okay, I don't like this, right? And they're gonna say some reason why they don't like something. It may be something that's already been talked about, but they don't know all that.
So I do encourage everyone, if you take this to your councils, when you take this to your councils, you're welcome to do that. But feedback should come through delegates.
Yes.
Do I anticipate we're gonna get emails? Like I do. But at the end of the day, the feedback that we need to incorporate is gonna come from the folks online and at this table. So through the voting delegates, we'll vote on it. I do see Tim's hand online, and then, I'm sorry.
We were.
Okay, I'm gonna go Tim, Steve, and then Rosemary.
Hey, thanks. I mean, some of these questions to me are, I guess, I'd like to hear from someone on the bylaw committee. I know we need to read it, and I know there are online documents that show the changes, but can somebody at least speak to how the document has evolved from the last time we talked about it? And, what may have changed and what was the rationale for that change that we can look for? And then secondary to that, this main sticking point to me, as I've observed this, has been trying to understand how it works between and I forget the nomenclature, but the executive board that kind of handles the admin stuff versus the larger coalition that works on all the policy stuff, and what the guardrails are around that to make sure there's still checks and balances there. And are there anything specific that have been added since last time that address many of those? I would submit most of the concerns were somehow tied to that issue. So I don't like to put somebody on the spot, but I feel like somebody from the bylaw committee should give us some broad strokes about where their thinking is on this current document and how it's been shaped by the public or the comment from the delegates over the last few meetings.
Yes, so I can kind of tackle that broadly, and then I do encourage folks to bring their questions for next time, but we did cover things like what is the difference between the board of directors and the coalition of delegates, what the role is there. That's covered in here, and that there is a coalition of delegates, that's covered in here. We did standards of conduct and geographic representation is covered in here.
Anything you want to add?
Yeah. I've never.
One of the members of bylaw committee drove in today. Mike's on too.
And yeah, Mike, and is Caitlin here?
Yeah.
So if I'm missing any of the things as a brief overview, addressing Tim's questions, please. Yeah, Mike. Mike Eddington.
Hopefully you can hear me
Would you
now.
like to respond to Tim's question?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got so many mute buttons here. One of the things we did is went through and sort of laid out a process for when the board of delegates has a major concern with something the board of directors does. So there is kind of a, want of better term, there is a sort of a relief valve in the process. So we made sure that was there. There's also an explicit process for dealing with budget. So that has to at least be, that has to go through, you know, the board of delegates has to see it. That has to be sort of presented properly. And we added some timescales for that, if I remember correctly.
Okay, and then Steve, then Rosemary, then Mike, do you have additions or is your hand just still up?
Sorry,
Okay.
I'll take my hand down.
Okay, Steve.
Well, I was just mentioning, how to handle comments sometimes.
We had 34 pages of comments. So unfortunately, we just don't have the capacity to go like comment by comment. And many of them were in person in those special meetings. So the like directory of comments is like, if you kind of want to see, and then there was like an AI summary that I put together and put online of a general, what were some of the big highlights, and that is the reference point that the bylaw committee kind of started from. They would have to speak individually about like how much they brought the comments into their own discussion.
And speaking for myself, yeah, we broke it down into those broad topics where we saw themes of this is a big concern, like interaction between the coalition and the board of directors, and the feedback piece of, how can the coalition make sure that they're being heard for anything that happens, and that, decisions are being made wisely, and, what does that piece look like? That was what I was looking at. How can we make sure that that was clear and fair? So just speaking for myself, I don't know if Mike, Caitlin, Paul, if you wanted to speak to kind of what you looked at in those larger themes that we broke it down into.
Those
If not,
Really plenty of checks down and then going to allow you to address your concerns either which way. Whether you're serving on the board member or if you're serving on the coalition member.
there's also a piece in there too about the relationship between the coalition and the board of directors, where there is an elected liaison between the two, and that liaison would chair the coalition. So concerns could be brought to that chair and reach up to the board of directors. Rosemary and then Roger.
Is there any reason why we can't postpone the vote for a month? The way our meetings fall, I think a lot of people would like more time to work with their community councils on something like this. So our council would like to see this postponed a month. Give us more time to work with this.
Well, it's not technically, we're just presenting it tonight as informational. We're not voting on it any earlier than March.
Okay,
So
can we make that any earlier than April?
I don't feel as comfortable with that. I because it hasn't been introduced, there's not a motion on the table to approve it. So it hasn't been formally introduced. This is the opportunity to take it to your councils. If we get to March and folks aren't ready to vote on it, then absolutely. We don't want to push anything through, but
But you don't want to put it on the back burner.
Right, I don't want to put it on the, because we have been working on this since last March. So this would be a full year that we've been working on the bylaws. So
I don't think that's unreasonable considering the amount of changes that have been made.
Sure.
But like, to her point, my council won't meet before we meet again.
Mm-hmm.
So I won't have time to get their feedback likely until my meeting. Sorry.
No, you're okay. I was just making sure.
Okay, I want to hear from Roger and then Jane. Is that, yes?
One of the concerns I got, I speak about this the same way you do, because you used clearly the terms board of directors and coalition delegates. Mike then starts to confuse me when he continued to use the term board of delegates.
Yeah.
So we gotta be real careful in terms of our terminology.
Yes. We're muting him from now on.
Moving on.
I welcome it.
When you call on Mike, I will call on you, but that will take practice, and thank you for holding us accountable. That has come up as like, we have to be mindful in our language that there's a board of directors and a coalition of delegates. And that is what, according to our new draft, we should call them. Jade. Online.
Hey, yeah, would it be helpful to like phrase it as we have a deadline for comments, like written comments from folks, and then we can plan for the vote to be on it? Like, do we want to just say, hey, we'll plan for the vote to be in April, but if you have comments, we need them to be submitted or sent to us or conveyed to us by the March meeting, just to make sure that like the comment thing, as someone who often comments on things on the last day it's due, that maybe it could be helpful to kind of keep it moving, but give people the time to like digest the comments and then have some more conversations with the councils and then decide on a vote for April.
Yeah, I would suggest that we set a deadline at the next meeting because nobody's had a chance to look at these yet and digest. But we will pencil that in for next time. And Joy Webb, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, just a quick question. I was trying to look at the current bylaws, and it seems like the link on the website is not working. I wonder if that could just be restored, please.
Technical error. Ari is looking into it.
Okay.
I'll get it fixed right now.
Ari's going to fix it right now.
Sorry.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
I can post. There's a.
Ari is going to post it in the chat. Is that okay for them?
Yeah.
Okay, Ari's going to post it in the chat. Kathy, yes.
Thank you, Chair. Kathy from Turnigan. I'm just kind of having all this swirl around my head and envisioning 36 community councils and having their own discussions, which seems laborious. And I'm wondering if an alternative would be to schedule some kind of work session where anybody is invited, council members, delegates, the committee, the board, the current board, and just have a session somewhere, some, Spinard Rec Center or something, where if you're interested in this, if you have questions, if you want to talk, come to this, and we could just have a lot of informal dialogue versus 36 individual dialogues that then have to get put back into the queue and digested. And I don't know if that would be appealing to anybody or not. I know that for our agendas, we're always packed. So if to put this on an agenda and say, okay, the next 45 minutes, we're going to talk about live bylaws, that is so not realistic.
Sure. If I can address that just for a second, I want to reiterate that like the board of directors handles the nuts and bolts of the organization. That is the nonprofit. That is the Federation of Community Councils that supports community councils. So. No, in the bylaws. So the idea of the new bylaws is that the board of directors handles the nuts and bolts of the organization that is the Federation of Community Councils. Currently, that is the job of the board of delegates, all of us here. So that is why we have the two meetings where we have the meetings where we do business and I do my best, or Mike does his best to run it by Strict Roberts. And we did talk about the budget. And then the second half is coalition, where we do the stuff of, yeah, what does your community council want? What's the issues going on in your community? And it's more collaborative as opposed to representing the interests of the FCC. So it's not that I don't want people taking this to their councils at all. That is not what I'm getting at. But it's, I think, less in their wheelhouse. And if they have questions, I think it is better for them to go through their delegates, because the delegates are the ones who are ultimately voting on it. Because the delegates, as we sit here online at this table, are the ones representing the interests of the Federation of Councils. That said, if people want to have a work session open meeting, I am not open to that. Like, I'm open for questions. It's just, are the community council members going to need a real crash course in what we're talking about?
If I may follow up on that
Yes.
first question, thank you, Chair. I think that, there will be some council members from individual councils that followed it closely. They've attended our meetings as part of the public, interaction and I'm sure they would be interested in that. And then I think you're right that probably the majority of members and regular attendees of any given council, this is like, I don't want to have anything to do with this. But I guess that even gives justification, I think, for my idea, because then we wouldn't have 500 people show up at a workshop to really hear about this. But we would have those who are interested and have been following it, as well as the delegates, kind of hear it all and discuss it all, so that, again, there'd be more time for that in that sort of forum versus individual council meetings and doing it in 36 silos. So that's my follow-up. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. I saw Charlie and then Lizzie.
Kathy, I just want to go back to part of what you were addressing there and go, I wouldn't want anything to do with that meeting because of some of the texts and emails that I've received, which are saying that the FCC is rewriting the bylaws and they're giving away all of their power over the community councils, and the community council is giving away their power over the assembly. And having to sit down and explain to 100 people from across town that the FCC doesn't have power over community councils. The community councils don't have power over the assembly. There's nothing to give away. We're working collaboratively with the FCC between the community councils. But I mean, the general members in the community council don't understand the hierarchy of how it's all put together. And having to explain that that's where the FCC delegate representative, whatever we're calling it now, that's what their job is in their council, to explain that part.
So that's time. Lizzie up next.
No.
Oh, you didn't have your hand. Okay. I think we've come to the end of that, but please bring questions, concerns to the next meeting. Read it with your highlighters and your favorite pen. All right. I will also do that extensively.
See how you can fill 10 minutes?
I'm going to slowly sort if anyone needs to take 5 minutes for non-FCC business, like the bathroom. Do you guys want to take 5?
We could take extra time too if I talk about things if
Do you want to take 5 now, or do you want to take extra time in the council updates?
more people talk about things.
Oh. Did you say no? No. Oh, now. Okay. Okay. Second meeting is now. Now we're representing our councils. I call it open at 6:48. We move through council updates, starting with Girdwood. Girdwood. Jennifer, I believe that's
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Girdwood is got a couple of things in front of the assembly right now, looking at trying to get more not necessarily representation, but more residents of Girdwood on the Heritage Land Bank Advisory Council, as well as we are continuing trying to get some more control over our local economy and specifically our short-term rental situation. I just want to briefly state for everybody to know that I know that there's been some noises about, Girdwood's thinking that they're so special, but a consistent message out of both GBOS and our community in general has been that it's not that we're special, it's that we need some of the same tools that other resort destinations and vacation destinations have used. Thank you.
Thank you. What else? I'm sorry, I don't remember.
It's Greg. Greg, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank
Hey,
you.
yeah, just you get one minute to talk about anything or give an update. I don't know if you've been here for one of these, so just wanted to
I
give you
have, but it's been a bit. I'll try to make more of them. We still have a spot open that we're always asking someone else to come and be the delegate. So I don't have to do it all. But yeah, for Glen Alps, we just expanded as part of our boundary expansion to Michael Road, west to Michael Road. We have been dealing with some issues with the Gene Road. Privacy issues have been an issue. We've had a bunch of our members brought up speeding on Canyon Road as an issue. So I contacted the city traffic engineering, and we are now Canyon Road is now part of the traffic calming program for the next possible few years to see what we can do. We can potentially use some kind of speed controls on the section where a lot of people come to use the park. And other than that, a lot of my neighbors down here on the lower on Canyon Road are still in the dark because of the low sun. So we're excited about getting sun back. So thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Government Hill.
Thanks. We had our meeting last week, and one of the things that came up was actually seeing a poster from the DOT that seems to have a lot of new things and some old things. People may remember the Knick Arm Crossing. The DOT poster is having that as something that they want to be working on, along with the Matsu rail extension going down to Point McKenzie, and a new interstate that they're talking about coming from Houston down to Point McKenzie. And then along with that, the West Susitna access road, and of course the natural gas pipeline. So I'm not sure where DOT is going to come up with the 30 or 40 billion dollars that all of these projects would take, but we are a little bit concerned about having the Knick Arm Bridge and or tunnel coming back up again. So thought we had managed to kill that off about 10 years ago, but it's still coming back.
Okay, thanks, Bob. Again, so I just continue to anticipate surprises. Hillside. They're not here. Hillside's not here. Huffman O'Malley.
Yeah, so we held our meeting last Thursday, and the big topic of discussion was education. We had the principal from South High School and CTE teacher, and they gave us some pretty stark realities about the budget that they're facing and the impacts down the road, including within a year, kids may not be qualifying for the Alaska Performance Scholarship, and in 2 years, they may not be able to staff core classes that they need to graduate. So I appreciated, we all appreciated their time coming up and having a difficult discussion with us. And we also voted on some resolutions to finalize our CAPSIS list and try to make the AFD wildfire division permanent. So yeah, a lot of good work going on. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Midtown.
This is my first one. I don't know if this is what you all want to hear, but we have a new hotel under construction in Midtown, Hotel Bergamot, which is for women only. And that's going to be at Fairbanks and 40th. And Chugach, Alaska is building on their 4.5 acre site on 36. It will be a museum, a gathering center, and 16 apartments. And I guess you've all seen the Kettle Company is coming down. And we at one point were looking at marijuana shop there, which was very problematic. There were two schools right next to it. The Canabaska cultivating license across the street in the big green building is, there's problems with it. The assembly has it. All cultivation shops present a smell problem, and this one has been presenting an odor problem for years. And the assembly is quite involved with it. We're midway through this process. The homeless at Walmart has been abated because of the weather, but and the police now have a presence at Walmart. What we deal with at Midtown is a constant vagrant situation with all the attending problems. And that's something, as the community council, we are up to our ears with this, fighting it. And we've had two new package stores, one opened and the other is about to open, right in the core area, which leads to all kinds of additional mischief. APD is instituting a retail theft operation, which I will find out more tomorrow, with meeting with the mayor and the chief of police, but and that's about it. I could go on for probably another 10 minutes. We have a very active situation in Midtown.
Thank you. Yes, that is basically what we're looking for. So thank you. Mountain View.
Mountain View since last reporting, let's see, Davis Park had been abated. We've gotten a lot of things there. Circle K has closed down and is removed. So that's no longer there. It is quieted that side of the neighborhood down drastically. We still have some of the homeless that are out there in Davis Park that have gone back in. The campfires blowing across the park is kind of evidence of that. We had in the community, we had a couple of different the celebratory things for the holidays and such, and everything was a big success. And things are going good in the hood.
Excellent. Thank you. North Star. Is that Jade?
Yes. Jade, are you still there?
Hey everybody. Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was our day for an update today, but it is, so great. We've been having some really great special meetings on housing as a council. Had one this month in addition to our regular meeting. So it's been a really big focus of ours, and not affiliated with us, but relevant. I wanted to invite folks. There's a couple of upcoming meetings that are relevant to housing. There's the Anchorage Housing Working Group, which several of the North Star Community Council members are participating in, and then there's also the Anchorage Housing Club, which I think a couple other folks in North Star are participating in, and those meetings are coming up next week. Both great opportunities to chat with your neighbors about housing and join in that conversation. And that's major things from us. We were excited to have Valley of the Moon officially in our community council after having it be the header image on the FCC website for a better part of a decade. Now it's officially in our council. And yeah, I think it's been good. The housing issue, we've been, I think, done a pretty good job at capitalizing on that interest, and had, the biggest attendance we had in the last few months was maybe like 45 people, but we've consistently had maybe 15 or 20 people, which is more than average. So that's been cool to see some folks sticking around. We're also starting up a committee to work on advocating for Fireweed Lane, both for the upcoming road project that's been delayed, but also for the redevelopment along Fireweed, and both big interests in our council. And I just had a great conversation with Chris Stoner from Midtown this morning about that and how we might be able to work together with them on that. And we're also going to be passing a resolution from Rogers Park. So thank you, if anybody's there from Rogers Park, for passing along the resolution about fireweed to us, advocating for that to get finished up sooner if that is of interest. To also put your name in the hat for, hey, get going on fireweed and don't delay this until never. reach out to us or the folks at Rogers Park. Thanks. And Rufus says hello.
All right, thank you. Do you have anyone from Northeast? No, we do not have Northeast. Old Seward, Ocean View. Yeah.
Yes, we have two issues that we've been pursuing for quite a while. The first, we meet just off of Old Seward Highway, and there's a subdivision just west of that called the Eldon subdivision that has 8-inch cast iron pipes. The wells are failing. There's a landscaping company there that causes pollution in that, and we've been working for several years trying to get funding. We're at 35% funding from Lisa Murkowski and also the state senator. So hopefully within the next year, things will start there. Also, just since we're just off of Old Seward, the Vision Zero initiative that the municipality is promoting affects us too, because Old Seward, where we are just before it intersects Huffman, is 5 lanes, and this initiative might want to take it down to 2. Well, 2's fine except for rush hour. Between that and then the municipality has advertised for an overseeing engineer for Vision Zero. They've advertised it 3 times. First time $42 an hour, next time $52. Last week it came out at $62.47 an hour. That's $130,000 for one position to do everything in the muni for traffic calm and everything else. So in addition to the 2 executive positions that the mayor has promoted, that's $500,000. Plus the Vision Zero aspects, like during this summer, you probably noticed all the bike lane stencils, signs, and well, everything else. That's a $5 million federal grant. Well, every year when those stencils or the signs have to be repainted, that comes out of our budget. So it's a catch-all to start with. So anyway, between the subdivision, which hopefully something will happen, and all this Vision Zero things that affects all of us at one time or another, that's our major concern. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're at 7:02, so we've got some wiggle room if anybody has big announcements and was not on the list just now. I see Kathy. Thank Kathleen.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Kathy Gleason, turn again. At our January meeting, we passed a motion. It wasn't any kind of formal resolution, but a motion to participate in a West Anchorage Candidates Forum that the 4 councils, Turnigan, Spinard, North Star is kind of on the edge, and Sand Lake and Taku Campbell. And we've done this for quite a few years for both state legislative and then also municipal elections. And so since we have our April elections coming up, and we do have an assembly person from West Anchorage up for re-election and has somebody that has filed to run against her, and then there's 2 school board seats open. So this is a good way to reach out to Bernard and South Edition and and Taku and Sand Lake, and if North Star has kind of been on the edge of it the last few years, but if you're interested, contact me, because we've already got a handful of volunteers from Turnigan that want to serve on a committee. And so if you need to take this to your council, upcoming council meetings to get something formalized, that'd be great, so that we can start planning for it again for this spring. So thank you.
Ari has a quick fun fact.
I just want to share that one of my fun facts for our 50th anniversary is that the first Turnigan and Sand Lake Community Council Candidates Night was in 1976. So you guys have been doing this for 50 years.
Okay, that was even before my time. So that's cool to know.
It's a long time. So we'll be posting about it as along with it.
Okay, great.
Next up, we got Kathleen, and Tim, I do see you, so you're after Kathleen.
So we just had our meeting last week and had an impromptu community person that came to our meeting because that's what the ombudsman said she should come. but it's really a citywide issue, so I want to bring it up to everyone, has to do with snow clearing around all of the fire hydrants. And also the width of this snow clearing so that fire trucks can get through. Because at least in our area, there are some of both of those that hasn't happened. And then the other issue was staffing, that the staffing wasn't right as well. And that's really more of a muni-wide issue. She's going to bring a resolution because she's an expert at that in her field in terms of safety for our next meeting. It was just more at high level, but I wanted to bring it up to the attention of everyone here as well, because there's definitely been several issues, not just with fires, but also with ambulances in at least her area specifically. But it's everywhere from what she was talking, and I've seen it everywhere too.
She called us, so I'm glad she got in touch with you.
Yeah, but she said she had sent a lot of notes, but we never, not to us. So I don't know. Our state delegation was tasked with working with her on it. So at least that's a start to working with the city.
Yeah, sometimes it takes many, many phone calls before to find that one and like, oh, you found this. Fantastic. Tim. you're
Hey,
ready.
thanks. Two things I wanted to put on everyone's radar. One is you may have seen the media coverage about the release of the draft environmental assessment for the Safer Seward Highway project. This project I think we're the only community council that actually has it as, connected within our boundaries, but I think it's an issue that shapes all of the Anchorage Bowl. And I know that in the public comment, I think they said that they had a total of like 40 written comments submitted for the project that's going to be a 20-year project and be $1.5 million. So I encourage you all to take a look at that environmental assessment, provide feedback, and continue to watch this issue. I can say that we have two members that were put on the steering committee for that. So we've been in that process from the very beginning. And I think it's safe to say that our feedback has been pretty much universally that the project is too big and just the scope of it is beyond justification. And it seems like that's pretty consistent with most of the feedback that they've gotten. And yet the project continues to plow along as the preferred alternative with a 4-lane divided highway. Which is a monumental engineering feat. And, it just seems like the feedback is falling on deaf ears. We do know that project, at least the portions of it in Anchorage, will go into the AMATS process. And many of you, I think, participate in the AMATS and provide feedback for that. So I just want to put that on everybody's radar and encourage you to take a look at that. The second thing I wanted to mention is at our council meeting last week, Zach Johnson, assembly person for South Anchorage, announced that he was preparing an ordinance. It's not yet in draft form yet to allow for neighborhood retail of some form, primarily looking to do some kind of neighborhood type grocery stores. We have a lot of questions around that. And on the face value, there's some merit to it, but wanting to know about setbacks and parking and signage and all of these things. So some things to be fleshed out. So I think that's an issue that everybody would be interested in. And so he is saying that he's going to have an ordinance in February, March timeframe. So just want to put that on everybody's radar. I did want to go back to Safer Seward Highway real quick. And again, just make one more case for how it's an area-wide issue is that the $1.5 billion over 20 years represents an opportunity cost to other projects on state roads in Anchorage. They already have established that Muldoon is actually less safe than the Seward Highway is if you go by number of accidents per vehicles that transit it every year. So it's another thing that you guys want to be on guard for and be looking at, because it's not so much what Seward Highway does. It's that when that money goes to that project, it leaves less money for other things. And there still has not been a good response about what doubling the lane miles between Anchorage and Girdwood does to the maintenance budget and how they would maintain that road and keep it plowed when they're struggling to maintain the mileage that they have currently. So that's my soapbox speech about that. Thanks for the time.
All right, thanks, Tim. if nobody else has any updates. I will also let people know that if you're interested in that environmental assessment, but paper is your jam, USAC Library has a binder on the third floor.
Nice.
It's 7 inches.
7 on the sewer hydrant?
Yes, it's a 7-inch binder. They open at 10. Do we have anyone from the mayor's office here?
No.
Okay. We do have Vice Chair Anna Brawley though, yes?
She was here. She says, Anna, are you on the line?
I'm still here. Yeah, just kidding. Yeah. Thanks everybody. Thanks for having me. I'll do a brief report. Happy to take questions. Well, first, before I get into my report, thank you so much, Tim, for giving folks an update on the Safer Steward Highway. I would say I'm not one of our AMATS members, and I know that's not my district per se, but it is pretty scary what they're proposing, in my opinion. And the opportunity cost is real. I mean, we have a set amount of dollars that we are allowed to spend that we get from the feds. And so it is true that when we have a giant mega project like that, it does eat up all of the oxygen or all of the ability for us to, maintain and upgrade the roads that we actually have. And we know that there's plenty of work to do there. And we also know DOT basically keeps turning more of the state roads in our area into highways. I know there was a lot of folks upset about the Minnesota cheese grater, as we called it, those fences. And there is, those can stop people from going into the road, but what it means is basically cars drive faster and they treat it more like a highway. And so we should be very cautious in the center of our city doing that. And of course, very much feel for the folks on the south side and anybody who's going to try to get to Girdwood. So I would definitely send your comments. And I know the folks at the city are going to be continuing to push back against that and ask a lot of the questions that have been raised already. But yeah, it takes residents and it takes folks putting pressure on the state as well. So I will also get off my soapbox then, but that is a huge issue and very timely. The other updates I can give on the assembly side, first is, I think Ari probably already talked about it, the 50th anniversary. I know there's a lot of celebrations and looking forward to seeing folks out doing that. But specifically on our agenda for Tuesday, if you're familiar with recognition resolutions, there's going to be a small opportunity if folks do want to show up. It'd be great to have a crowd of community council folks to recognize the 50th anniversary at our meeting. So, of course, if you've seen those before, they're brief. Not everybody will have a chance to speak. We'll read it out loud. There'll be some clapping. There a few folks might speak. So it's not the end of the world if you're busy and you can't make it. But if you have time to stop by between 5 and 6, it's a good time, and I know you'll see a lot of your colleagues there. So, speaking as a former community council board member / current member who doesn't vote, because I have my own ways to be involved, but I'm very, very proud to see that happen. So, and Jade said yes, that's the next meeting. So it's Tuesday, the January 27th meeting at our.
I had not talked about it. I had not talked about it yet. I will make sure that to reiterate.
Okay, great. Yeah. So Ari she has a copy of the resolution. It's out. And again, it's recognition. So it's not a code change, anything like that, but hope to see folks there. The other things that will happen at our meeting, or at least will be debated, and then we'll see how the body votes, is all of the items or the rest of the items that would be for the April ballot. So things like our bonds, tax levies. One of the ones that has come up recently is the proposed one-time ASD tax levy. I'll spend a couple minutes on that briefly. But just in general to say, I'm anticipating we'll have a Rona drainage bond for those of us who are in ARTSA. We'll have a parks bond for those of us who are in the park service area. We'll have a CASA bond with a couple projects. I know there was a couple that were already approved and getting those going. That's the Chugach Access Service Area, police and fire safety. We may have a facilities bond. As you all know, we have a lot of aging facilities and a lot of things that need work. So there's, lots of need. We're certainly not going to be able to pay for all of it at once. And of course, it's up to voters what we approve. But or what gets approved by voters. But those will be decided and then they'll be set for the ballot in April. What we have already passed, is the school bond. And then there was a few very specific areas in the LURSA areas or a couple things up in Eagle River. So those aren't things that everybody sees on their ballot. So I'm not going to see them where I live. But for folks in those areas, those are going to be local questions as well. So I'll return to the school levy. The proposal, because it came up kind of right at the beginning of the year, The proposal is essentially about 12 million, 11.8 million. I think that was the number, one-time tax levy. And so it's not a bond, it's not a loan, but it is like a loan, or it's like a bond in the sense that it would be taxing above the cap just to pay for that item, and it would be collected in that year. So it does not authorize a forever levy. And really the reason that it is being proposed in the first place is because we have a complicated state formula for education funding. And so we know typically, the last several years anyway, our community has really given the most we can. So there's a required amount that we have to give, and then there's an optional local contribution, and then that is also capped. So even if we wanted to, say, double our local funding for schools, we are not allowed to do that by state law. And of course, that would be expensive. But because of essentially the timing of when the legislature finalized the budget this year, and this has happened a few years in a row, essentially what we thought was the maximum when we passed our budget, when we set the tax levy, when all of those things happened in Anchorage, they took action after that. And so there's actually a gap that was found between what we could do, like what the maximum we can do, and what we have already committed to do. And so that's where this tax levy is coming from. So the biggest questions we've gotten, besides, what is this, is, what is this going to be used for? And so when we vote on it, we are not directing the school district to, we can't tell them you have to pay for the, these pencils or this school or that school, right? We don't get in that level of detail, and neither do voters. But we have heard pretty strong commitment from the school district that they are going to put this, obviously operating expenses, and they are going to put it toward mitigating increasing class sizes. So we may not be able to reduce, but we could, not increase them as much as would have happened otherwise. So that's kind of the idea. And then the other question we've gotten is, why is it one time? This is obviously a perpetual problem. I know we're all tired of hearing every year, that we need to solve this problem. And it really does ultimately come down to the state, whether it's a law change or funding or, whatever it is. And so the reason it's one time right now, or proposed one time, is because so many of those things are uncertain. And because of the way that our tax cap and all the other pieces work, it's actually really difficult to write a levy that is clear for folks and still stays within that cap no matter what, right? So maybe this year it's 11.8. Maybe next year it could be 15 if the same circumstances arise. But maybe next year it's 5, or maybe we do end up actually at our local maximum and we aren't able to go higher than that. And so it's really hard to craft the language to go to voters to authorize that this would allow to be happening, but also without a dollar amount year over year. It's difficult to do that. So anyway, all that to say, I think that is a discussion for another time. If this passes, or even if it doesn't pass, is there a way to more permanently put this into place? But in the meantime, we're just trying to solve what we can for this year. And then again, we know there's a lot of uncertainty. And so we don't want to lock something into our charter or into our tax system that does need to be changed later. So there's pros and cons to trying to solve it as a forever issue right now. So I think that's kind of the focus right now. And then lastly, I'll just say, as you guys know, myself and Member Baldwin Day have been doing a number of budget meetings, educating folks about the budget, and getting folks talking to each other about kind of what our issues are and what we could be doing to solve them. So the next of those is going to be tomorrow. So it's Thursday, January 22nd. I'll put the flyer in the chat, and I know Ari's been good about sharing it out in the newsletter, so you can look there too. It's up at Mountain View Community Center on Price Street. It's where the Boys and Girls Club was. Some folks call it the Boys and Girls Club up there. So it's in person. We'll have some food so folks can, stay alert while they're talking about budget. And then if you have to miss it, or if you want to go back and watch the presentation, we actually recorded an online version that we did earlier this month. And so you can watch that online. So I'll also put in the chat the link for that. And it's so if you miss the information, you will miss the conversation. But if you want to at least watch the presentation, you can do that. So with that, I'll take questions.
Does anybody have questions?
I got a quick question.
Steve.
It has nothing to do with the budget or your presentation, but the community, that Mountain View Community Center, what happened to the Boys and Girls Club?
So they, it's kind of a long story, but essentially they had to close. They lost federal funding and there was some other issues. And so they announced pretty suddenly I should say this summer, they indicated that they were not going to be able to continue offering after school programs there. Or summer program, or I think it was in the spring. It was after school programs, and so the Muni was able to provide just a little bit of short term funding to kind of get through the end of the school year. And then now that facility has been turned back to be run by Parks and Rec. It was being run by Boys and Girls Club, but then so that was the first part, and then unfortunately, what happened after that is, again, still funding issues, all of those things. And they announced kind of suddenly that they were going to be closing all of their childcare operations, at least in South Central, so in Anchorage. And so that happened right at Christmas. And so it's just another story of how it's really expensive to provide childcare, and it's something that we know everybody really needs and relies on, or at least a lot of people do, but it's hard to pay for. And so it's unfortunate, but it wasn't done lightly. I know that.
I have a question. What can you tell us about 2026-10? Which would be, I guess, public drunkenness ordinance?
Oh yeah, so this is the proposed changes to the criminal code. So that's another one. I know there's been questions about that. Essentially, I guess I'll start out by saying we do know police have been enforcing the law, and things like indecent exposure are already illegal in our city. However, we know that when you get down to trying to actually bring charges, it gets complicated, right? Just like when someone takes a drug, that drug doesn't exist other than in their system. And so it's hard to charge somebody with possession of a drug that you don't have evidence of. And so that's just one example, not in this ordinance, but those kinds of things have been really getting in the way of actually being able to consistently enforce those laws. And also, as we've seen, there's a number of folks, obviously, that, just putting them in jail is not going to solve anything, but we need to get them to actually, get into a system where they can get better. And so, excuse me. So it's another opportunity really to have that interaction and hopefully diversion out of the prison system and into, treatment. So I'm still really learning the details, but we're going to have a work session on it on Friday and be able to unpack some of those questions. And also I've asked Chief Case to really explain, what is a case that can be pursued right now, like what circumstances of indecent exposure are clear, and then which ones is this trying to solve? Because I think that's caused some confusion.
Thank you. Tim, I see you got your hand up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks, Anna. In October, the TSDO ordinance was put on a pause by the administration. Then at our last meeting, I asked, I think it was the chief of staff who was here, and said that there was potentially public meetings coming in the new year. Do you have any updates on what you know about what's going on with the proposed TSDO ordinance? I don't want to speak for people, speak for our council. We weren't really happy with the way that was shaping, but generally support the idea of transit-supported development and would like to see that process continue. What can you tell us about that from the assembly side?
Yeah, good question. So I'm not one of the sponsors of that ordinance, and so I don't have a lot of information. And that's great to hear if the mayor's office is planning to do more meetings, but I haven't seen a schedule or anything published, and I don't know. I know it moved through planning and zoning, obviously, so it wouldn't go back there. But yeah, I think that's a great question for the mayor's office. I unfortunately don't have more info, but to my knowledge, there isn't anything on the schedule right now.
All right. If there are no further questions, I just looked at the clock and I think, yes.
Oh, sorry. I know you want to move on. One other thing, because I know I've been hearing a lot about it, and I'm sure many folks have as well. The assessment, the valuations went out in the mail, and so I know there's a lot of folks are asking questions. Why did it go up? Some folks it's gone down, but so I think we're really working to understand exactly what that looks like, because there were some pretty big increases, at least in some areas. So I don't have more information about that now, but I just want to say that is definitely something we're hearing about from across the city. And our usual process for appeals. So if you do feel that your property has been overassessed, or whatever the circumstances, you have until February 11th to submit an appeal. And I would say also start by reaching out to the assessor's office, because there is a formal appeal process. I actually had to do this several years ago. We lived in a condo. It was one of 14 units, but ours was inexplicably like 200 square feet larger, even though they're literally all the same. And so I think there was just some error in the system. And so I was able to to work with them without having to do an appeal. And so I would definitely start with contacting staff, because sometimes there's ways to work it out, or there's an error or something like that. And then of course there is a formal appeal process. So I'll put the website in the chat as well. But just reach out to the assessor's office. There's information about how to do that. And if you do need to file the appeal, there's a whole write-up about how to do that and what the process is. Thanks. Sorry.
Thank you. Yes, Kathy.
Yeah, to follow up on that, I believe it was just last year, we had the property assessor do a presentation here, really good, very informative, and probably would be available to present at councils if, anybody's interested too. So thanks, Sam.
Okay.
Our recording's online.
Thank you. Do we have Carl Jacobs here? We do not. Thank you, Anna, for that presentation. I also will plug the budget workshop. It's excellent and oddly fun considering it's about budgets. And the food is great. Do we have a planning department?
Oh, you guys don't. We don't, of course. Nobody from planning, nobody from the mayor's office, and nobody from school board.
Okay.
Well, somebody from planning, but separate.
I do have an update from on the community council boundaries.
Yeah. Do you want to
have you? Yeah, so you can be by the microphone. So
okay.
You can stand by and Daryl right there. You can come right here.
All right. Does it work from here?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Just yell loudly.
So at the last assembly meeting, they had approved the new community council boundaries. So those maps will be getting published in the next coming weeks. We will have the smaller paper maps available. If you would like a larger poster size map for your community council, you can contact Tom Davis in the planning department. He was the planner who worked on this. And his contact information is on our website. And yeah, he loved to talk to you. He just gave me this message to give you all. So that's it.
I will follow up on that and say our website will be up to date as soon as planning gives me the stuff.
Yep.
So our maps are still the old maps and I can't update it any faster than planning gives it to me.
You know when they will be updated?
It'll be in the next coming weeks. We do.
Okay. Well, weeks.
Yeah,
As in months or?
Months.
Well, I mean.
It's gonna take 6 years, like the whole process.
So it should be, well, it will be shorter than redoing the whole process. Because we already have like the maps that we made for planning and zoning commission and for the assembly. So we just need to tweak some things up. There were some, I think 1 or 2 floor amendments made at the assembly that did pass. So those edits need to be made. And that's coming from our GIS department. I would anticipate by the end of February, but I cannot guarantee anything right now.
That sounds on the time. I asked Tom the same question and would be on the timeline that you gave me as well. So like, and layers will get some information and then we'll get a little bit more information and so.
All right, thank you. Better public meetings and 2026 summits.
Me. I should also side note and Taylor's here as well. The CIP surveys are not happening this year. You should have gotten your chair should have gotten an email about that. They have many projects and not enough money to go around, and so they're not doing CIP surveys this year. They will bring them back next year. That is what I was told.
I don't think I saw that in email.
I don't think we didn't get that email? Okay. I think it's coming.
Okay.
I thought that was it. Great. I wanted to remind everybody of all of the fun things we're doing over the next couple weeks. First, I just want to pass these out really quick. If since Anna mentioned next week we are receiving a resolution of recognition for 50 years of community councils in the Federation. And if you wanted to just write a sentence or two about what community councils mean to you, I would love to include, since everybody isn't going to be able to speak, I'd love to be able to put a couple of quotes from people on things that why their community councils are important. If you're on the chat and you just want to drop it in the chat, that would be great.
If you're artsy, I have highlighters.
Yeah, I got pens too, if you need one, but I know a lot of you have pens. This is just more so we can put a nice little thing together and talk about things that are meaningful to you. We want everybody to attend. I'll probably say something, Mike will probably say something. If really want to like participate and want to say something, like come and chat with me so we can organize this. I think we only get like 30 minutes to talk about most of the talk during that time, so we're have to be really quick about it. But yeah, this is my hope is that you can say what community councils mean to you or why you're a part of community councils, or a little factoid that I could include in our little speech. And I'm really excited that we are getting recognized 50 years. Very exciting. Another thing we are doing next week, our Better Public Meetings. This is the Eventbrite page for it. The public forum on Better Public Meetings. You probably have seen me blasting this in the weekly newsletter. We've had over 140 responses on our community survey, which has been super great. And if you've clicked through, you've been able to see the results of the survey. And I have to say, like, I've read some of the comments, incredibly meaningful comments. It's really been lovely to see that the anecdotal experiences that I've had when it comes to public meetings is something that is shared, and everybody really is connected to wanting public meetings to be better, and that we are really a civically engaged community, but we don't always feel served by our public meetings. So the National Civic League will be here to present on the research, and then also be asking people to participate through a couple of different formats in providing additional feedback that will be taken into their final report. So some like in-person work together. So really excited to have them here, along with a presentation from Perfect City in how we can bring art and theater into public meetings as well. So come to this. It's sponsored by us and the YWCA. It's going to be at the Learning Commons at the library, so the fourth floor, and there will be dinner.
What's that tiny little date say?
It is Thursday, January 29th. So we have a full week next week. On Tuesday, if you're coming to the assembly meeting, we're doing our resolution of recognition. On Thursday, we have our Better Public Meetings Forum. And on Saturday, we've got our summit. And I got a lot of people signed up for the summit. I'm so excited, more than last year. I hope everybody is able to attend. We've got such a good agenda that I did want to kind of like reiterate it. So we'll have opening remarks, and then Alaska Humanities Forum is doing a building community through storytelling. It's their story of self workshop, which is really fun. And it's going to be talking about how you came to community councils, and way it'll help kind of bring your story to life a little bit, and how you engage in community. So kind of some thoughtful warm up, opening ourselves up. And then David Reamer is going to give us a history of community councils. I've given him all of our archive to go through, which he was so excited for. And he's going to be giving us a little presentation on some of the wins and the losses of community councils, some of the successes, and some of the cool history. And then Dr. Julie Oberding is going to be presenting on neighborhood governance systems outside of Anchorage. So she's worked with community councils in Cincinnati, and that's how I got connected with her. And then she and another research student are doing work on national neighborhood governance systems. So community councils all across the US. And kind of getting in that research, and they want to present on that research to you guys, and maybe also ask you guys some questions about what it's like here as part of just learning. It's not really a super studied subject, but it's really interesting. And then after lunch, we'll have remarks from the mayor and the assembly chair. This is such a get for me, guys. Like, I can't talk about how I told somebody I got the mayor to come, and they were like, "You did?" So really exciting to have the mayor there. And then Dr. Kelly will be back from last year. He did ethics of leadership. Really exciting. I think we talked a lot about World War II last year, but hopefully we talk more about leadership this year. And then Lem will be here to do Robert's Rules of Order. You guys got to meet him at our last meeting. And then something really important for all of you guys, a question I get more than any other question is, how do I get new members? And I've asked Assemblymember Baldwin Day to help. She's an amazing facilitator and is really great at activating people. And so she's going to come and do a workshop on how you guys can activate people and how you can bring in new members, because that's a really hard question, right? How can you get more people involved? So I'm so excited. It's going to be all day. We're going to have lunch. We're going to have snack. We're going to have coffee. It's coffee all day. Don't worry.
And where is this shindig?
It is at the Nave, which is in Spenard.
It is.
And if you haven't been there, it was the Church of Hope.
Church of Love.
Church of Love. And it was taken over by Cook Inlet, and now it's a community space.
You have an address for it out there?
It's on the Eventbrite.
Okay.
Yeah. They should, your ticket will have it. And we do ask you to register because we need to make sure we have enough food for everybody. So please register if you plan on coming, especially if you have any allergies. Yeah, I'm really excited. That's my bet.
Did that go out council-wide?
It's gone out in weekly newsletters for like the past 2 months. Yeah.
And
in the recap emails.
The agenda with that, so people know what they.
It's on the Eventbrite, and in the last one, since the agenda is finalized, I did put it in the weekly newsletter as well. So I'm hoping that drives some interest. Yeah.
Quick question, thank you. Kathy from Jernigan, do you have to register for that public forum?
You don't, but it is helpful just again, so because we're feeding people, so it's head counts.
Okay, thank you.
But if you happen to just show up, it's fine.
Any questions online?
So much is happening. It's really exciting.
And then on Sunday, sleep.
On Sunday, sleep.
All right. Okay, thank you. Moving on. Lucas.
Yeah.
You've got the floor again. You're going to talk to us about park designation versus dedication.
We have Lucas and we also have Taylor.
And Taylor.
Yeah.
Online?
You can stand up there.
Okay.
That's considered.
And can you people talk?
Okay.
Come on.
You don't have to talk.
All right. And Taylor, do you want to go through your slides you had first about the dedicated versus designated parks?
Yeah, I can go first. That's no problem. Thanks for sharing. Let's do this. Can you guys?
You should be able to share a screen, and if you can't,
looking around.
And she had a handout for the in-persons that was on that too, and I will attach the link in the chat.
Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks. I'm gonna try to zip through this. I'm a big PowerPoint lady, so I'll keep it. I'm going to try to keep it brief, but we have some slides here. So parkland protections. My name is Taylor Keegan. I'm the superintendent with Parks and Recreation. I just want to go over the difference between dedicated and designated parkland and a few of the implications of all of that. So is it dedicated or designated? Designated parkland is what we describe as land owned by another agency or division within the municipality that's permitted for recreational use. It relates to this code here. It does not trigger any charter protections or voter approval. An example of this would be Davis Park or Sitka Street Park, which in the case of Davis, we have a long-term lease with J Bear, and for Sitka, it is owned by Merrill Field, but they both behave for all intents and purposes as parkland. Dedicated parkland is formally set aside by assembly ordinance for permanent or long-term recreational use, and this is under charter. So it's not just a management decision like a designated park is, but it really does have some real implications for how people engage with it, and also how it is disposed of. So summary of dedicated parkland. Here is a map, pretty zoomed out here, that shows dedicated parkland in a darker purple, a category I've called likely dedicated in a lavender, and then green, which is not dedicated. And then there's a pink boundary along the edge that shows our service area for Anchorage parks. What parkland is and is not dedicated. So we're currently undergoing a rather large administrative process to determine what is dedicated and what is not. Essentially, parkland is dedicated by parcel. So when we say this park is dedicated, it's actually the parcels within the park that are typically protected. So we're checking over 1,200 parcels. We're checking almost 40 assembly ordinances dating back to 1965. And depending on who wrote the ordinance, who approved the ordinance, and who was involved, the descriptions can really vary based on parcel ID or boundary. So there's a lot of case-by-case review that's having to happen. So we believe confidently that 600 parcels approximately are dedicated, but we are checking 700. And if you're doing the math there, it does equal more than 12. So good job, guys, because there is double checking and triple checking. And then we have about 200 parcels with no history of dedication, or essentially parks. So we're kind of putting those aside. And these numbers do include Eagle River and Girdwood. I just want to throw up an example here, which is Goose Lake, which we're kicking off a master plan for. So we're trying to figure out what the boundary is of the dedicated parkland within what we know is Goose Lake. It was dedicated under 3 different AOs in 3 different years, actually decades. And so a lot of them were listed as parcel IDs that no longer exist. So they're tied to boundaries that are in historic plats that we have to dig into and then confirm with planning. So it just takes time. It can take hours, days, and sometimes weeks to find this information. Okay, how does parkland become dedicated, and what can I do as a community member? Essentially, you would reach out to us and you'd say, hey, I want to dedicate this. Is it already dedicated? Is this a suitable candidate for dedication? Then there's a public process, which we recommend is the Community Council, PRC, and Planning and Zoning Commission. Then an assembly ordinance is undertaken, and then it's protected in charter. And I have a couple slides here that describe that in a little more detail. It is the assembly's prerogative to dedicate parkland, and sometimes they can just go ahead and do that. I, as a staff member, do not recommend because, for example, track J was done at the assembly level, and then we had to undedicate it and rededicate it because the boundary that was tied to it was done before the replatting. So it was very confusing, but now it's all good. But if you go through the process from the beginning, there's a lot more buy-in and a lot less administrative headache. So how does a parkland become undedicated? Well, it depends. Dedicated land, so the assembly can authorize different municipal use. So it could be a utility easement that happens, or it could be something where it's changed into an airport, for example, or an airport expansion. And that's the example I use here, which is Noreen versus MOA. The assembly can not undedicate land for the point of conveyance without it going through a majority vote. So that's kind of a cool part for, I think, the community to be aware of, and also for the community to get involved in, okay, who makes the decision about when parkland, a dedicated parkland parcel, is no longer dedicated for recreational purposes. For designated land, going back to the very beginning, the managing agency can basically terminate the interim use. So if JBear wanted to, they just use the terms of their lease and they can reacquire the land, and Davis Park is basically up for them to do what they would like to, because that's contractually what we've agreed upon. I don't see that happening anytime soon. We have a great relationship with JBear and we just renewed the lease. But that is an example of the nuance and difference. So how do I know if a park is dedicated or not? So you want to start on the Muni website, specifically the Parks and Recreation website. You can go to our homepage and then our Maps and Apps gallery. It's my favorite button on the website. Then you can peruse our many lovely maps and apps, but really you want to go to the park and facility information. Then there's this sneaky little tablet button in the bottom right corner. And from there, it pulls up what we call the attributes table, which is a fancy word for Excel sheets. And then you can go here and see is dedicated as park. And here it will say all, partial, whatnot. So it gives you kind of a broad idea of what the designation is. And then you can reach out to myself or someone in Parks and Recreation to help you chase down the nitty-gritty details. One more thing I want to mention is when we're talking about protected land, dedication is not the only way to have protected parkland for recreational purposes. Another thing that is important for everyone to be aware of is the LWCF, or the Land Water Conservation Fund. Essentially, it's a federal grant program, so we would provide matching funds as a municipality to obtain these federal funds for acquisition or development of public outdoor recreation areas. Once that happens, the land is under 6F protection. So you can't convert this area to non-recreational use without approval from the Secretary of the Interior. And the whole park rule with LWCF is usually, even if you're just improving a small part of the park, the whole park boundary or a large portion of the park will fall under the 6F protection. Unlike, again, designated land, which can easily be repurposed, LWCF protected land can only be converted if the city or land manager provides land that is, and this is interpreted by the Department of Interior, of at least equal fair market value or of reasonably equivalent recreational usefulness and location. And that's just a little thing for everyone's back pocket. Okay, what did we learn? There's a chart, there's a cheat sheet. I believe Ari printed it out for you guys, and it is available. You can email me or her to get that information. And it just is a little bit of kind of like, what are the differences between these three different types of ways to describe parkland? And then there's my contact information. Thanks for letting me blab at you very quickly with these graphics. I appreciate it.
Does anybody have any questions, or Lucas, do you have?
I think we should let Lucas go, and because he might answer some other questions and then come back.
Yeah, so I do have a presentation in there. So that one isn't necessarily related to exactly what is dedicated versus designated park.
It's all
right. All right, thank you.
Go ahead.
Aaron, so my name is Luke Bertram. I'm in the long range planning department with the municipality of Anchorage. Go to the next slide. So we have had two projects go to Planning and Zoning Commission last month. So those were PZC 2025-0146, which changes the land use map designation of a number of parcels that were mostly previously designated residential, but are used for parks, whether designated or dedicated. So we are changing those designations to park or natural area, also doing some corrections since there are a handful of residential properties with houses on them that are designated for park or natural areas. So we're just fixing that along with it. And also that one was about 78, 79 parcels. And then 2025-013 is a much larger project to change the zoning designation of 742 parcels used as parks, whether that is dedicated or it's mostly dedicated or parks that are likely dedicated. There are a handful of designated parks owned by the MOA as part of it. So rezoning all of those to the PR zoning district. So in effect, basically the park or natural area land use kind of sets it up for zoning as this PR zoning district, and then this PR zoning district really limits the uses, so it does help protect our parkland. And this is just in the Anchorage Bowl, so no changes were made with zoning in Chiquiac Eagle River or in Birdwood. Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend approval on December 8th, 2025. We are still working out a couple things, but that will be going to the assembly soon on a date that has not yet been set. So if we go to the next slide. So there has been, it's been a long time coming to finally get this off the ground. So really starting with the 2020 Anchorage 2020 plan back in 2001, I believe, that was kind of calling for some more ways to solidify parkland within the Anchorage Bowl. And then with our 2040 land use plan in 2017, then updated in 2021, we did have an action item in there to conduct a housekeeping rezone of dedicated parks to PR zoning district. So this really is helping us finish the action items on our comprehensive plan. Just get that finally done after a couple of years, and also to maintain our parkland again. Go to the next slide. So yeah, the PR zoning district is set for dedicated parkland. We are also rezoning it, or rezoning parcels to the PR zoning district that are not dedicated parkland. But those ones are, again, designated parks or most likely dedicated. And then next slide. Just again, this has been something we've been looking at for a while. We had a memo back in 2023 to get some of this off the ground, and now we're finally on it. Next slide. And yeah, you can skip this next slide. So since it went to Planning and Zoning Commission, we have removed a couple parks. So this would have gone out to all the community councils in the Anchorage Bowl back in, I think, October or November, that you got the map with all the parcels to your community councils. Since then, we have removed 2 parks temporarily. Centennial Park up in Northeast has a camper park, which for whatever reason is currently not permitted in the PR zoning district, and at Rush and Jack Springs Park at the Greenhouse Parks and Recreation Department sells plugs out of there, which falls under commercial horticulture, which is permitted in the existing zoning district, but not in PR. What we're planning on zoning it too, so those are staying off for now. We are having some discussions of slightly amending the PR zoning district to allow those uses so that we can put a bow on this and just finish all of the parks in the bowl. Next slide. So we have our project maps and okay, fingers crossed it will.
Yes, it's going out.
Okay. And all right, could you send this out to everyone? Okay, so everyone should have gotten this with the original Planning and Zoning Commission comments back in October. I think we sent it out. But so basically we have a swipe map. So you yeah. And it's more visible on this one. So on the left, we have what the current zoning districts are. And then on the right, that's just all going to PR. So you can zoom in, look at where it applies to your community council within your area. So we do have that for everyone's reference. Yeah, I think we can send this out to everyone just for sake of brevity.
All right.
All right, and there is. Anyways, there's my contact information if you do want to get in touch about this project. If you have any questions or want any more clarification for your community councils, and take questions now.
So, the planning department initiated this process.
Yes.
To change the zoning to PR. So why wouldn't the planning department initiate the process of taking all the designated parts and making them dedicated? Why? Because you have the information, you have the expertise. Why are you trying to push it out to all the community councils to us who really don't understand a lot of this process?
So the dedication is carried out it's done by the Parks and Recreation Department. We aren't really going to you guys about dedication since that is, most of the parks are already dedicated or likely dedicated.
Why wouldn't the Parks Department take on that responsibility instead of pushing it down to the community council? Because they have the information and are experts at this kind of viewing it this way.
I think I can answer this. They have to notify everyone by code that they're doing this. So some of the parks are designated, but they're not dedicated. The city doesn't own the land. You understand that concept? Okay.
And does Taylor have?
And they're doing a big change here, so they have to notify everybody. That's why you get these notifications.
And Taylor, did you have additional?
Required by code.
Yeah, Steve, that covers it. And really there's no ask of the community councils. This is information sharing. For the difference between dedication and designation, mine is simply info. For the rezoning, I think conversation that Lucas has been it's a really big lift what he has done, and it's pretty incredible. And it's mostly a giant piece of housekeeping to comply with the recommendations from the 2040 land use plan. So this is really just so people use the right language and understand each other when we're talking about certain types of protections and classifications of public parkland. Does that make sense?
And can I also say, this board requested that they come and present with Kathy made a motion, you guys approved it. And in conversation with Kathy, what she had asked was like, how can the councils be part of the process if they're interested? So there's nobody saying councils have to do this. They're giving an opportunity should councils be interested in being part of the process.
Okay, I had Kathleen and then Kathy, but it is 7:57. Does anybody want to make a motion about anything?
Move to extend for 10 minutes.
Kathy's made a motion to extend for 10 minutes.
I'll second.
Daryl seconds. Any objection?
Objection.
So we have to vote on something.
Need to manage your meetings.
Okay.
So we need to vote on it.
Yep, we gotta vote on it. Yep. All right, all those in favor for extending the meeting to 8:10, raise your hands. Either in person or via emoji.
6, I count 6 in person. Anybody online want to extend? 7, 10, 11. If you want to extend, now is the time to raise your hand. There are 11, 12. Emily can't find that hand. She's putting in the chat. 11 there are 28 people, so it's fixed.
Oh, okay.
If you want to call them all.
All those opposed.
1, 2, 3. Okay, now if you don't want it to extend, if you want to say cut the meeting short. Everybody else said yes to the abstains. Yeah, okay, so it passes. All right,
it passes. Kathleen and Kathy.
Kathleen, Russian Jack. And can you just give me an example of a water project area that the Department of Interior would have voted on? So I kind of have a
Yeah.
concept idea?
Yep. So Jewel Lake Playground and Sand Lake Community Council, we used funds from land water conservation. And so that there's a large portion of that park that is now protected under Section 6F. Eastchester Park also has received funds. I am not sure if it was for acquisition or improvements, but it is also protected under LWCF and 6F. There's a large portion of the parcels in the Chester Creek Greenbelt that were, I believe, part of the acquisition process utilized LWCF funds. So yeah, there's a whole handful. And in modern day, we usually use it for park improvements and less so acquisitions, but there were quite a few parks and parcels that were that capitalized on the matching funds for acquisitions in like the 70s. And
So the one I maybe should have said I was thinking of specifically was the estuary. That I know I was involved with ConocoPhillips and the Department of Interior. I'm assuming that is also part of that.
Which estuary?
I can't remember what it's called. It's in Sand Lake.
Campbell Creek. Estuary.
Campbell Creek, yes.
If you give me a second, I can look that up. I believe that is a separate protection, which is not for recreational value, but it's under a conservation easement.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
So that's separate. Okay,
that is
was
a
kind of
separate. Yeah, and that's not
Okay.
protected for recreational value per se, but it is protected status.
For the wildlife. Okay, that's what I was curious of.
And Kathy.
Yeah, so that kind of dovetails into, I know that Heritage Land Bank has wetland conservation land that they have gotten to for other muni land that got developed. So is there a process for that holding pattern that HLB has had for many years to get that dedicated parkland so it's under parks purview rather than Heritage Land Bank? And what process would that take?
That's a great question, Kathy. I think I learned a ton about this in the recent acquisition of Potter Marsh Watershed Park. And I would say that we actually just have management authority of HLB land for that. So it is actually in this case. And I would say it is designated parkland, not dedicated. But I would also ask my lawyer if I was saying that correctly, because it is still pretty new to me. And it is something that I have not had the chance to dive into. I do know that there are tons of parcels that HLB gave us management authority of that show up on the property information map as parkland that did become dedicated. And actually putting together this PowerPoint, I had the same questions that you just asked me. So how about this? When I figure it out, can I send you an email?
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
All right, I do not see any additional questions.
Questions online?
I don't see any hands online. We are at the end of our agenda and past our time, so I'm going to thank Taylor and Lucas and all of you, and we can adjourn at 8:03.